Okay, so essentially, what did we have, right? We'll just go back in time first. So today's Wednesday, right? So this is where we closed at. This is when we started, right? So let me delete all that as well. Okay, so we had this zone, and why? How did I identify this zone, right? So this is actually a 30-minute or a 1 hour zone, right? If you look at it, it's actually a 1 hour zone. Then react from kind of this zone. If you take it like this, and you see you got that reaction, and it's only the body candle, right? And even I think on the 15-minute, it should also be fine. Yeah, even on the 15-minute, you're fine. You could maybe refine it like that, but yeah, that won't get hit. Because like the 1 hour, you kind of want to refine on the 30-minute or the one, stick it on the 1 hour. Sometimes you don't want to over refine, right? Because the zones on the 1 hour and the 4 hour could be like they could be very very um how do I say this? They could be very um like I don't know how the fuck to say it, but sensitive. Yeah, they could be very sensitive, meaning that sometimes price will bounce not perfectly on your refined zone and it will just bounce on your 4 hour zone, right? Which is the case right here. So if you had the zone marked like this, you get a bounce like that, right? So, and that's what the same case we had in the trade. So what do you have? You have this, like your zone, right? Like this. Now what do you see on price action, right? So first of all, I see major liquidity, which is I marked it right here. You want to first of all spot liquidity, right? Because as you guys know, liquidity is important in trading. As you guys see, we got like if you combine it, like of course there's liquidity here as well, right? This is also liquidity, but if you combine these liquidity, there's more here, right? Because price has been going up and up and up. So as you guys can see, we see liquidity below here, below here, below here, below here, below here, even below here. But that's the extreme, right? So I doubt that price would go back here. Of course, it could take these lows and then go back up. That's normal. But for instance, I don't expect price to go way lower because we're bullish, right? So what do we expect? I expect price to take out liquidity, and that's how I define my zones, right? So what did I do? You have this zone right here, which is a valid zone, but also you have these liquidity points right here. So what I would do is you could take potential longs off here and even potential longs off here, for example. But as you guys can see, there's actually more liquidity here. If you take a look at it, this is like if you see the market come here, it's like very tricky for the market to not take this liquidity, right? Because this is purely inducement. If you look at that, that's purely inducement. And how do you know if a market, like if the market makes a double bottom without taking the left liquidity, that is just known to be taken later on. And this is also why I took the long previously, and I will show you that as well. Because like same with this, market goes this high, but it doesn't take this. This just shows me that it's forming more liquidity, and this liquidity will get taken. And I can show you in the following minutes. Exactly. So all this drop was just to bait early sellers, because if market makes a double top like this, like there's no way on earth, like that's maybe 1 in a million, that price makes this, right? So this is only a 5.5, like a 5 pip difference. No, 0.5 pip. It's not even 1 pip difference. So 0.5 pip difference, if I'm correct. I don't I have to actually look because I'm kind of confused right now. So it's actually, I think that's zero point 0.7. Yeah, 0.7 pips or 7 pip, but I think it's 0.7. Yeah, it's point. Is it points? Whatever it is, it's like very very little, right? So if price does this, then you already know this high will get taken because this is just double liquidity, and of course it takes those highs, but that doesn't mean this high is not gonna get touched, right? This is not a protected high because this high didn't do shit. This high broke this low, but these lows are. This is just purely liquidity sweep, right? This is not a break of structure. This is a sweep. As you guys know, you also seen this liquidity. So what I see right now is we could take these potential highs, and I just mark out these highs, right? I'm not looking too long yet because first of all, we're not in Asia yet. Second of all, there's too much liquidity. For instance, I don't expect price to bounce here even if we make a break of structure, because we see too much liquidity, right? And the market can't go up forever. Yes, it can, but it needs to grab liquidity and then go up. So the market can retrace and then go up, which what happened today, right? So let's move price a little bit further and let's get into Asia, right? So this is Asia. I could mark the sessions. Maybe that would make it easier. So this is Asia Open 2, right? And then London Open is gonna be, let me favorite this as well. It's kind of good too. So London Open is 9, and if you want to go to the trading hours, then you go to babypips.com. I can even show you. Go to baby pips. You can also see the volume on this, and this is also where you see your position size calculator. So you go to tools, and then you go to forex market hours, right? So what is this? You convert this to your, I don't want this. You convert this to your own time. So as you guys can see, 2 o'clock is when New York opens, 9 o'clock is when London opens, and then 2. This is not London Open. Like, this is okay, London Open, but New York Open is not New York Stock Exchange Open. It's just New York Session. This is the kill zone, right? This is probably whenever the most volume happens, because also London close comes so near, and the most volume is gonna happen until lunch, which is 5 p.m. 5 p.m. And I can even show you in time of New York. So until 11 p.m., which is lunch, or 12. No, I think 11. Yeah, 11 a.m. is lunch, I think, or is it 12 p.m.? I think maybe it's 12. I don't know, because I think the closure and, well, anyhow, like 11 and 12 a.m. That's when the volume is gonna die off, and p.m. session is okay. PM session is, after 12, so 1 till what is it, 5. It's okay, but I wouldn't advise. And as you guys can see, like, the volume is real low, but this is the most volume when London closes and New York goes into lunch. That's what the most volume happens, because you have, first of all, London close, and then you have New York lunch. So whenever 2 sessions lap, same as this one, you see, like, Asia is red, and then when London opens, you have that overlapping, and that goes nicely green, right? So you could always go here to see what time it is, and then we'll also mark our New York Open, because you will also see the price sometimes randomly decides to just change because a new session open, right? So what are we expecting? We're expecting either these highs to get taken, which is likely, but I expect price to go down first and then take these highs to just form more liquidity, right? So let's see. But it is a possibility to take that high. So what it does, so exactly on Asia Open, well, 1 hour in on Asia Open, nicely taking that high. Now what do we see? Price is just melting down very, very nicely. Price bounces from your POI right here, which caused the breakup structure. But because we know there's too much liquidity, we're not taking this POI. You could take this POI. It is a valid POI. But you're not going to be aiming for this high, because this high is not going to get taken. And then I'll show you, for example. So let's say that's a break even right there. Now we're at our second POI, and it's about to be London Open, right? So you could even drop down on the 1 minute. Fuck's sakes. I have some fucking chocolate on my arm. It's kind of annoying, because that shit is going to dry up, and then it's not going to be nice. Let me put this aside before I fucking do it again. But essentially, we're now in the 1 minute. This is our 5 minute / 50-minute zone, I think. Let's see. Yeah, this is our 50-minute zone, which caused that break of structure to the upside, and then this one is also your zone, which is the actual cause of the break of structure. I mean, that's not a break of structure, but like, you have this break, right? The internal structure to go back to bullish mode, right? So we could see a potential bounce here. You can get a small scalp off here, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, you could look for buys on these areas, right? On this one. But since there's too much liquidity, you can't aim for a high. You can aim for like maybe a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, but you can't aim for a good amount of pips. You know what I mean? You have to be realistic, right? Because of course price can always bounce, but at the end of the day, what's gonna determine for price to bounce is liquidity and how good it's gonna bounce. So what do we expect? We could see a bounce right here. And let's say, for example, you take a buy off this zone, right? But would you, I mean, I wouldn't even refine that. You could, but let's say you take a buy here. Your stop is going to be that. Where would you target, right? Realistically, where would you target? And you're always going to go to the 3 or 5 minute or the 15 minute to get a target. You could target those highs, You could even target these highs. It's all personal preference. Personally, looking at this, I would first of all wait because you always want to wait for price to first of all do its thing. So um, we're gonna see. Let's say what is that? Well, that's a bullish candle. Okay, let's see what price did actually. So okay, price goes. Yeah, we're supposed to take this POI. Yeah, I'm stupid. I was like confused, but yeah, what what does price do? So price, takes this liquidity, which gives me more confidence because if liquidity is taken, and this is about to be right on London Open, so we could easily target this high, right? Because there's no much resistance, right? I'll call it resistance until price. Like you have a supply zone here, so this like I could hardly call this a supply zone because of the bigness of it, right? And it's you see these double tops, like if you take a look at it, what we just discussed, this high is not taken, and these highs are not taken. Nobody puts their stop loss on here. Everyone puts it at 1-2 pips away, right? So nobody's getting stopped out. And what did we have? Everybody's happy now. They're happy. They think price just gone. It's gonna melt, but we're at our POI. And what do you have? You have that tap in deep. You have that good reaction right there. Now you could essentially even put your stop like this. That's also a possibility, and then do it like this. It's also London Open, which gives me more confidence in this setup. So let's see what will happen. I would take the setup 100%, and purely because it's pre-London as well, I just know that we're gonna sweep some type of liquidity because that's what usually happens when session opens. And then I could probably think that we're gonna take this, buy side liquidity, right? What they call it. So let's see what happens. So you see, London opens, boom. This trade took us 50 minutes, 20 minutes, and that's a 5 hour. So this is the power of sessions. I can't explain this to you guys enough. If you're trading in Asia, it's gonna take you way longer than it's gonna take you by trading in a fucking dumbass session like Asia, or you know at the end of fucking, I don't know, at the end of New York session, right? So I would say always focus on the sessions, preferably session opens, and preferably like the session first 2 hours, first 1 to 2 hour, because that's gonna define that's really gonna define your the real move of the day, because that's what happens mostly, right? So that's what I would do. Wait, let me ban this guy because someone is impersonating as me. Fucking retarded. He's not on the server though. Bro, why are people impersonating as me? Like, I need his ID ASAP. Well, anyway, let's get back to it. I'll fix that later. So that's your one setup done for the day. So that's 5R. And since it's London Open, like, let's be honest, I would just take it a day, right? Like, I would call it a day. But if you still want to trade, then I would still wait for the areas I identified, which was let me explain. Let me show, not explain. On the 15 minute, if you look at the 15 minute, what do you have now? You have more liquidity now, actually. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. So what do you expect? I expect price all the way to retrace to my POI. So I'm not gonna be trading until price comes to my POI. And why? Because there's just too much liquidity. And since I'm already up 5R, or even if I wasn't up 5R, I would still do this because like Because just because I know there's too much liquidity, right? I know I'm waffling, but that's because the guy is fucking retarded. But yeah, there's just too much liquidity for me to hop on a trade, right? So what I do is I sit back. It's probably gonna be around New York session because just because the pips needed for price to drop down is just a little bit too much. It's like 54 pips. You could take a sell off this, but as you're in a bullish bias, we only want to buy. So that's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna wait for price to come to our POI because there's no other valid POI for me. Why? Price already bounced here. Price failed this POI, second of all. And then third of all, there's too much liquidity, right? So we're gonna wait. Now essentially you could have taken a sell right here whenever that liquidity got taken, but that's fine. Now we're gonna wait. And what I actually did is, and I'll actually show the reason why I took a buy here, right? So what did I see? Price came, price jumped like this on my POI, and I knew I had to get in, right? It jumped that high on my POI straight up. So I said, let me get in, right? So the price was here. So actually, let me revert the candles. I was actually looking at the 15-second, right? So what do we have, right? So what do I see? We get that tap in, right? And my entry was 180 or something like that. I think it was 180. My stop was this low or something. Let's see what price is. So what do you see? Okay, so what do you actually see, right? You see that momentum, like that's a good candle momentum, right? Because price bounces for weeks, then price doesn't go below it yet, then price comes here, makes that one candle, then makes that random candle as well, and goes up. So you have like displacement kind of, which means like, you know, straight up going. Then price comes back, takes this low, and taking this low was quite important for me because I knew once this low was taken, because people would take their stop here instead of here. That's very realistic. Even I do that sometimes. So my stop was actually I think it was 165, but I had a 2 pip stop, right, because of slippage and shit. And then I was simply targeting these highs, right, which was 420. So it was kind of like a 10R, so something like that. And I was targeting these highs. And why was I targeting these highs and not the highs above? Because I was simply happy with a 10R. And, you know, after these highs, price could still come back to retest my entry or to retest anything, because at the end of the day, it's causing breaks or structures, right? And meaning breaks or structure, we could easily see a retest, right? So we're just going to see what happens next. I was actually going to the barber at this point, so I set my entry. This was just a market entry. I set my entry, set my TP, I set my stop loss. And after these highs broke, I already went break even because it was a risky play. So what did I do? I waited. So now I'm break even, right? And you could even scale in if you see the opportunity. But I don't think the market does anyhow give you opportunities because it went pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie. But we'll see, right? And whenever you see these spikes, like it's actually very hard to catch these. I caught this, right? But let's say you didn't catch this entry. I don't think the market is gonna give you any entry. So at the end of the day, you had one long in London. You could have had sells, but since that's not in our game plan, we don't do sells. We only do buys, right? So you miss all the sell movement. Let's say you miss the buy movement. That's also gonna be pain because I don't think price retraces. So there's my TP. That's 10R. That was about 10 Rs. Now what does price do? You have that break of structure, which is nice. Now you have this point of interest. Now will price come back to your point of interest? We'll see. This would be your POI, and then you're looking for a tap and a bounce, right? If it comes back. So you have no tap in, right? And looking at this, I see this as inducement. I would see this as inducement, as you know, price just makes that low and then leaves liquidity because it doesn't tap in my zone, and I believe in my zone, right? So what do you see next? We're gonna just move and see, but I would like to see price come back to my POI, take these lows, take that liquidity, and then move up, right? But what do we see? Let's see. Okay, so we see another break of structure right there. So we're just gonna add our POI, which is this zone right here. And then we could set a limit. Well, you could set any limit on, you know, adding the POIs. And then you would target, well, it depends, but probably that high. Well, if it goes higher, then you could target higher, of course. We'll see as price action comes back. We'll see how high price really goes. So it's only been 1 hour. I would probably wait. I'll probably wait. So this is about lunch, but tricky. So let's see what price does. Price consolidates in lunch, right? It goes up, it goes down, blah blah blah. If it comes before lunch ends, so around 17:45, 17:15, or even 18:00, I would take this limit. Just because I know lunch is about to end and the volume is gonna pick up. And they also mostly just like most people just enter on lunch or pre-lunch because most people don't trade at that time. That's what I think, right? So what do you have? Let's see. So we're taking this limit, for example. Now, as you guys see, this is 1751, right? So this limit is taken. Now you could also take, if this high breaks, you could also market entry this. So for example, you're taking this, right? And I would first of all make my first TP this. And if you ask me why, it's just because simply it's lunch and it's London. It's the end of New York, about to be end of New York session, right? And then you have that small breaker block right here. So you gotta be careful with that as well. So essentially, I would take 50% off here and move myself to break even just because the time, right? We're 6 o'clock, and as you guys seen, let me move it to Berlin time once again. You can just simply look at here and then see GMT +2 at 6 o'clock. So you see 6 o'clock volume is drying down. You see from going to peak is going down, right? So that's what I would do. Why am I doing all this? I'm fucking retarded. So yeah, I would take 50% off there. What am I doing? So as you guys can see, that's actually fucking slow. But yeah, our first TP gets taken, 50% off, stop loss to break even. You could even go break even once these highs broke. Like once these highs are broken. So like whenever price where it was here, you could have gone break even. That's 50% off. And then whenever rollover hits, you're gonna fully close. But let's see if you ever get tapped out break even. So we actually have to see how much R that was. So we're gonna take this stop instead of that stop just to make it realistic. Because we probably take, okay, so that's 1.5 R by taking 50% off. And let's see next. So this is about sorry, our break even. So that's 1.5 R done as well. So that's also nice. Pretty nice trade. 1.5 R is nothing to complain of. Just it's actually a pretty risk-free trade as well. So this was a good one. But you also got to be careful on the times. Like I keep mentioning that you got to be careful on the times because like time is really important, right? And sessions are really important. Like if you're not in any session, don't trade. Like at this time, don't trade, please. I'm begging you, don't trade because like after this, I know nothing's gonna happen, and you'll see why. Because bro, it's 9 o'clock. You see, it's dead, and nothing is gonna happen. I already know. Price is gonna maybe move 10 pips. So the maximum I could see price run is gonna be between here and here, 10 pips. That's all. But I doubt it'll go that high or low, right? So let's see. You don't have any trades after this, yeah? So exactly. This is just pure consolidation. And then what is Asia gonna do? Asia is probably gonna take any of these lows or highs and then make the Asia move, right? So that's very important as well. And then let me also explain the zones, or if you guys have any other questions first, you could also do that. If you have any other question first, then we could do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna speak about zones as well. Yeah, so no questions, I guess. So let me just speak about zones and when to take limits and when to not, right? So on this POI, the 1 hour POI, you could have taken a limit right here, right? You would have missed this. And even if you weren't on the 15-second, which is a bit crazy, right? Could have taken a limit here. stop well here, or not even there. So your stop was, I think it was like this. So I market entered this because there's no way in earth I had this stop on a limit, because you would never know how deep price goes. But even like this, like if you had this entry, then you could easily aim for the, this is the London high, right? Could easily aim for the London high. And also by looking at this, guys, this is the same story over and over again. Price going that high and not taking this high out just means that we're gonna move to these highs, very, very simply. So I'm expecting these highs to get taken this session. I mean, any other session, but it's gonna come soon. And then you also have these lows to take consideration of. It's also liquidity. So at this point, I would wait for probably longs off here, or I want to see 1 minute. What, like, when do you look for bullish continuation buys? That's when the 1 or the 50 minute is bullish, right? So this is when you look for buys, the continuation buys during this, right? During this, because the price on the lower time frame keeps going up. When price goes down on the lower time frame, you don't look for continuation buys because there's no continuation, right? You only look for reversal buys, which was this POI right here. So whenever the lower time frame structure is bearish, you're not gonna be looking for continuation buys. You're gonna be looking for reversal buys, which was from the POI we had. And if the lower time frame is like going up and up and up on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, right? As we discussed right here, this was perfect, play perfect. Of course, you didn't get your entries, but this is where you look for entries, right? Now, what do you want? You want to see price at least break these highs, right? Go like this, and then you can look for continuation buys. Boom, boom, go like that, right? So that'll be to know whenever you want to, look for continuation buys or even look for reversal buys. And whenever you take a limit or a chalk flip, this as well. I would say I would take only chalk flips on the 4 hour zones. The 15-minute zones, it's gonna be hard because the 1 minute on the 15 minute, it's only 15 candles, right? But on the 4 hour, it's way more candles. So a chalk flip, you could look for. I mean, you could also look for the 15 minute, but you're gonna miss a lot of setups, which you would have missed today by just waiting for confirmation. And this, I'll be honest, this setup was riskier. That's why I only risked 0.5%, right? Or I think I even risked less. How much did I make? I think I made. So on that trade, I made 7%, right? So I think I risked 0.75%. I was trying to risk 0.5, but I think the price went too fast, so I risked 0.75 on accident. So yeah, that's what I would like. Every other every other every other setup, you're gonna different from your risk management, right? So if you're confident in the A plus setup, you risk 1% or maybe even two, depending on how good you are, right? And then based off what is it called? What was I saying? Yeah, based off the setup. Yeah, so if it's an A plus setup, you risk 1 to 2%. If it's a A setup, you risk 1.5%. If it's a B setup, meaning no confirmation, like if you long on a 4 hour demand zone, you might as well go with 0.25%, right? But I would not say to do that. But yeah, that's uh that's it probably. If you guys have no other question, that's gonna be it for today for the backtesting session. It was a solid one. I think we're up to date with price action now. Could easily run into tomorrow as well. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. If you do this every night, which I do, I used to do this on my own, but now since we have the community, we do it together. But I used to do this on my own, and when I wake up, I don't even have to do anything. Like no markups, no bullshit. Hey, no questions, I guess. Great session. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was a good one. But yeah, that's gonna be it then. If there's no questions, I'll give you 1 minute to decide. If not, I'm gonna close it. But if you have questions, then we could answer that. Let me also delete all this. But anyways, you think press? No, I recorded. I recorded. Don't worry. You do think price go break the highs this week? Yeah, I do think, but it's Friday. No, it's Thursday and Friday, so I don't know. But I have to see, bro. It depends on Asia. It always depends on Asia. Whatever Asia does, then London is gonna do anything about it. We'll have to see. We don't want to predict it, right? We just want to see. How does it depend on Asia? Because if Asia pumps, then London is rarely gonna keep pumping, right? Every session has its own move, and if Asia, like let's say we're sleeping and Asia does the pump we expected, then we're not gonna expect London to keep pumping, right? It could, but you don't expect that. Like not and not every new session keeps extending the lag. For example, Asia yesterday night, right? I'll show it yesterday night. So let's go into replay mode. So this was Asia, right? So what did Asia do? Asia made its run. Asia took the high. So this is Asian high, right? This is your Asia high. And then it's about to be London Open. So what did Asia do? Realistically, this is when Asia is, right? So 2 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So essentially Asia pre-run the move. So this is a dump, right? This is a dump for Asia. Then what does London do? First of all, London sweeps the Asian low, right? This is the Asian low. London goes high, takes another high here. This was not the Asian high. This was just a random high. So London fakes upwards, right? So whenever London fakes like this and goes low, I don't expect New York to keep going down. But of course it could, but it's like this was a what 50 pip drop. So this is like a 46 pip drop. And do you expect EU to do another 46 pip drop? I don't. But it could, right? But I don't. This would be a drop. And do you expect that? I don't. I could expect it to the upside, right? I could expect it to go back to the upside, which this is New York Open, your New York session. So right here on the dot, you see. So price was here, actually went 50 pips. And then this is New York Open. New York Open taking your London high first, but Asian high is still not taken. So you still have the Asian high to take, which we form double liquidity with. So yeah, that's it really depends on session. Like for example, I was sleeping this night, right? I woke up to price being dumped during Asia. I mean, mostly London, but Asia also did some work because Asia was right here, right? So Asia went all the way here, which is still a decent drop from the opening, right? This is like still 40 pips, right? This is a decent drop. Then London takes the high first, and then London makes a move. And then London stops. New York opens. This is overlapping, of course. And then buyers outrun the sellers. Now we could see a dip, or we could not. Actually, we're not in real time yet, but I don't know, bro. Like, where I would buy from is either this zone right here, or I want to wait for 1 minute to be bullish again, or the 15 minute. Like the 5 minute at least to be bullish again. I hope that made sense. I waffled a lot, but it should. I hope it made sense. Okay, okay, that's nice. Well, yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Yeah, it was like as always. These are short sessions because you can't back this forever, right? But I got good news though. We got the 100K back. Tomorrow is tomorrow is the last day of Ramadan, right? So when Ramadan ends, Friday morning. No, I won't say Friday morning, but Monday morning, or you guys decide. Do we do Monday London or New York? Because Monday I'm not working, so you guys say it. Monday London or Monday New York? London. Let's see. There's only three people in here, but it's fine because the rest of the week is gonna be London, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Thursday is gonna be London. But I think Monday we should do New York, just because that's the only day we could do New York, and we're gonna be trying to stream every day. I'm gonna try to just live stream every day, live trade, because that'll be good for you guys to learn to see what I see. Because sometimes I say yes, there's liquidity there, but you guys won't see that upfront, right? Because sometimes just in my eyes I can see the liquidity, and then I could tell you guys what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, and all that stuff. Okay, so we'll do we'll do New York Monday, and then we'll do London for the rest. That's fine. Okay, let me